Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Jack, Conrad. This is the 45 Week 14 review. Matches wrapped up yesterday. Weekend where Sheffield United, as you pointed out right before we went on air, doubled their point total from 1 to 2. Not going to talk about that match, unfortunately. Liverpool put 7 past Palace. We're not talking about that one either. Villa with a vital 3 away to West Brom. Burnley with an important 3 over Wolves. Not talking about any of those matches because there was just too much to talk about. First up, Southampton and Man City. So, are Man City on the way back, right? They've pushed themselves up to 8th now. Sterling gets on the score sheet, looked good confidence-wise. De Bruyne, nice work. Both those guys are obviously going to be critical to them moving forward. Southampton, meanwhile, I mean, this was pretty even on expected goals. Ings went off, so you're yet again concerned about him. He has been a bit of a risk for them, but they just couldn't get anything done in that second half of the match.
They showed that before when Ings was out with the knee injury, that they were okay when he wasn't there. They were able to get results, able to score goals. But you never thought with a Pep Guardiola Manchester City side that they would struggle scoring goals, but be quite solid defensively. And that's been the case last couple of weeks where they don't concede much, not scoring too many chances. They had a really good showing today in the EFL Cup against Arsenal, scoring 4 goals past them.
Arsenal.
Aside who eliminated them in the league without the additions of Gabriel, who was very good, as he always has been. But issues for Arsenal in the next slide. But I think that there's positives for both sides. Southampton, you had a pretty good showing against a very good Man City side. Man City, you had a good defensive showing, didn't concede a goal. And you scored more than your opponent did, and you got the points.
They've got a bunch of these 1-0, 1-1, 0-1.
We said in
results.
the build-up that this is an important game. That they're one you have to win. Just get the result. They got the result. They did that. Didn't have to look pretty. And at the end of the day, you got 3 points, and you need these points to keep up with Liverpool, because if you fall too far behind early on in the season, it can become too hard, too insurmountable to chase back after them. They're going to want to avoid a repeat of last season, and winning games like these is very important. And if you're strong defensively, I think Pep Guardiola's always been good at fostering attacking
Figuring
sides.
out how to score.
They'll figure out how to score. If they can keep the defensive shape strong, they're still second favorites. And according to 538, they're favorites by about 5% to win the league, even after a poor start.
And it'll be interesting to see what they do with the striker in the January window. Likely to spend some money there. Southampton now in 7th on 24 points. They are 1 point ahead of City, who are in 8th on 23 points with that game in hand still. Next up for Southampton, away to Fulham. City are home to Newcastle. Both of our Boxing Day matches coming up this weekend. Next up, Everton and Arsenal. All right, Everton, 3 straight wins. Great. Arsenal have won 4 of their first 14 matches, and they've lost 4 of their last 5. Arteta looking for whatever spark he can find. Pepe gets on the score sheet as a result of a penalty. They had an own goal from holding early on that put Everton up, and then they came back and finished it off at the end of the second half. But what is the bigger story here? Match result aside, is it more surprising to see Arsenal in 5 points off of the relegation scrap, or seeing Everton in the top?
Undoubtedly Arsenal, because you see Everton there, a side who do want to perform every year. They do want to be pushing every year. I mean, every year you see sides who are pretty good early on. Southampton and Leicester are prime examples this year. Leicester also last year, they ended up finishing 5th in the league, which is a very good showing for them because they replaced the likes of Arsenal, who are underperforming. Arsenal are bad. And today, I saw a lot of Arsenal fans on Twitter talk about how, well, you started Mustafi at center back instead of Saliba, and Pablo Mari, both young guys gotten them in the summer. Why aren't you playing them actual minutes? Arteta thinks they aren't ready, but we always say it as well. Play the young guys if you're going to be crap, and they're really crap right now. So Arteta is struggling with the results, and that's acceptable at times, but he's also making decisions that are just hard to defend, and there's been a lot of unfortunates for them.
He's just trying to do anything.
Martinelli going off injured today against Man City.
Bad.
Very sad to see, because he's a very electrifying player for them, and one of the best youngsters in the league when he's fit, but he hasn't been fit in a very long time. So I really don't know where they should go from here. I think they should keep Arteta. I'm not sure what a different manager would do with this squad. I think you have to give him a bit more time, probably till the end of 2020 to get a positive result or two, because it's the kind of situation where
End of the season, you mean?
end of the calendar year for sure.
Oh,
I'm
okay,
saying
gotcha.
I'm saying that Chelsea shouldn't be a sackable result, regardless of what happens. But I really don't know what you can say to defend Arsenal. And in terms of Everton, they were just better. The XG says otherwise, but the penalty heavily skews that. And ultimately, they were able to scrape out the goals and get the win. They didn't get goals from Dominic Calvert-Lewin or Richarlison, which is a big deal that they were able to get the points without a reliance on your star forwards to get you the points. So I think there's a lot of positives for Everton to take forward. And you're getting these results against tough sides.
While you're heavily injured, too.
And they're playing Man United tomorrow in the League Cup. I'm interested how that's going to go because Man United have a lot of emptiness, a lot of injuries to deal with themselves as well. So should be an interesting matchup. And I think this is a perfect opportunity for Ancelotti to try and get some silverware. An EFL Cup, you win that against Man United, you're in the semifinals. You honestly could get a real big kickstart to Everton, this Everton project, if you get a trophy in the cabinet.
Been a long time.
I haven't won a trophy since '95. I was negative 6 years old at that point. So that would be a great start for Ancelotti. So they have a lot of positives as they're heading into the final week or so of 2020.
So Everton fourth on 26 points, behind United only on goal difference, and then Arsenal stay in that 15th spot on 14 points. Everton next up, looking to get another 3 against Sheffield United. Arsenal, meanwhile, Chelsea. It doesn't get any easier for them. Chelsea have been up and down. We'll talk about them here in a minute, but it's hard to see them getting a result in that match unless they get some kind of inspiration coming out of what happened this weekend. Next up, Spurs and Leicester. Mourinho situation. This looks familiar, right? Where early scoring and success, the system kind of takes hold, discipline kicks in, creativity evaporates a little bit. It shows up on the break, obviously. Player ends up on the outside. In this case, Dele Alli, for some reason, is not favored by Mourinho. And Mourinho starts to get grumpy. And that's kind of where we are. We've seen this pattern of behavior elsewhere, right? But again, to the match results, you have an Aurier terrible penalty concession to start off in the first half.
Yeah.
Late in the first half, stoppage time. Leicester disallowed goal. They get another one, bouncing it off of Alderweireld for an own goal. So neither one of these goals are really great chances. I mean, they created the one off of Alderweireld. They created the penalty, but Aurier was just dumb.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there are a lot of different ways Mourinho could address this result. There obviously the goals they actually conceded were individual errors that are much easier to clamp down on than systemic issues,
tactical
at least in my perspective, especially with Mourinho. So that also is a case of, well, more recruitment in the future. You probably would want to replace Aurier. He's been really good this year, but I think getting a higher caliber players in a lot, he's one of the positions that you probably would want to upgrade on. And Alderweireld, just unfortunate that it was a clever decision by Vardy to knock it down, kind of just use him as a deflection, as a teammate.
Yeah, if you have that as a plan, I don't know if that's...
And ultimately, Leicester created enough to deserve 2 goals, 1.9 XG, and obviously that includes the penalty, but also doesn't include the own goal. So I think that they really deserved the results here. That will be the most upsetting thing for Mourinho. You left Anfield on Wednesday knowing, well, yeah, we outplayed Liverpool, we didn't get the points. That's something you can take forward. Well, now you got outplayed at home by Leicester. So there are some worries there, and I think that Mourinho, like every human, he grows, he learns from his past experiences. At least I hope he does, especially at Man United, where it's having the exact same trajectory, scoring a lot of goals, being first. Bit of a rocky patch. Now, where is he going to go? Is he going to improve things, or is he going to become toxic like it did at Man United? And just to show how volatile the league is this season, I mean, they were first, literally like
2 matches ago,
less than a week ago. And now they're 6th.
All the way to 6th.
Now they're all the way down to 6th.
Well, it shows you how tight it is.
And it shows you how very tight it is, exactly. And they're already, just like that, 6 behind Liverpool on top of the table. So I think Leicester will be very happy with where they're at. Obviously, moving up to 2nd in the table is phenomenal for them. It's a question of, they obviously have the talent to do very well throughout the season. It's a question of longevity. Last year, just
faded after the break.
Falling apart. A lot of credit goes to Ole for getting them that uptick into the top 4, but a lot of harshness should go towards Rodgers for the downpour that they had towards the end of the season. So they're just getting these kinds of results, strong wins, and that's now, I believe they beat City 5-2 away, if I remember correctly. It may have been at home, but if that was away, another great away result against a very, very good side, a contending side. So a lot of positives for Leicester, a few positives for Spurs, but overwhelmingly negative. So
Don't get the points.
I think
leaves you in 6th on 25.
Wolves up next for them for Spurs. Good chance against a good side, not a great side, to try and get some more footing going and improve things.
And then Leicester do have Spurs don't play again until Sunday, Boxing Day for Leicester against Man United at home.
That's going to be a great game.
Leicester taking over for Spurs in second place, 27 points, just 4 behind league leaders Liverpool, just 4, but they continue to grind out results. So 4 points is quite a lot in reality. All right, next up, United and Leeds.
Wow, what a game.
United looked like Leeds did in that last game, where Leeds put three goals in 13 minutes. Just unbelievable. I mean, McTominay, where did that come from? Those 2 early goals that were really well worked by United. We know Leeds are a bit leaky, so let's not get out ahead of ourselves. But
this
was crazy.
This
3 minutes in with a brace.
Yeah, this showed the potential that Man United have. They've got quite a lot of talent. I think more than we give them credit for. And this is the Man United where you say, wow, they are very, very good. Then again, they still are leaky at the back, allowing 2 XG against Leeds. But you made 4.18 for yourself, so you easily deserve the result. Overperformed quite significantly, obviously. But that's because you had Scott McTominay just he turned into Zinedine Zidane out there in the first 3 minutes and just scoring 2 goals and getting a later assist for Dan James. This was great. I think this is exactly what Man United needed. That, yes, Champions League hopes are over this season. Yes, there's a lot of negatives, I think. You had a poor summer transfer window. This is the kind of result that can kickstart a season. I mean, the fan base feels great. The players probably feel great. Beat Everton in the midweek, and then get a good result against Leicester.
Then we wore the roses here. I mean,
and this is obviously a rivalry renewed. And you came out and you smashed it. So I think there's only reasons for positives for Ole. But as we say every time with Man United, don't get ahead of yourselves.
Continue it.
Defensive issues, and continue it. I forget what the result was before the Leipzig game, but we said the exact same thing. I believe it was West Ham, if I remember correctly.
The second half capitulation by West Ham.
Yeah. And that was a great result by Man United. We said, all right, continue this never can't die attitude. And then you bottomed out in the Champions League. You needed just 1 point from the final 2. Time to erase that from your memory.
Move on.
Forget it. Premier League. I mean, they go 2 points behind Liverpool if they win their game in hand against Aston Villa, which would be remarkable. And
from where they started, for sure.
Exactly. And they
still have a game in hand, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. And they play Liverpool on the 17th of January, which is going to be a great game. Very interested to see how that goes, especially if Thiago's back for Liverpool. Liverpool, we haven't talked about them today. There's a brief mention of them. 7 past Crystal Palace. Phenomenal result for them. And they look like they are definitely the best team in the league right now. And if they get fit going into the new year, it's going to be tough to see who can get up to them. But in the table, it's Man United who are going to be the closest if they can win their game in hand. And if they make some improvements in January.
Yeah, that seems to be the key for a lot of these clubs. I think
striker for Man City, a defensive mid for Man United, maybe a center back, maybe I'm interested to see how Amad Diallo does for them. Spurs, do they make any moves? Chelsea, do they make any moves? Declan Rice, try and poach him from West Ham. This has, I think, been a great season so far, and I'm very excited to see how it goes.
So, as you say, United third, 26 points, 5 behind leaders, and they have that game in hand. Leeds 14th on 17 points. We didn't talk much about Leeds. Probably too early for them to, too early for them to panic. But United away against Leicester on Boxing Day. Leeds home, looking to pick up a 3 against Burnley. They need those 3.
Burnley are surging, but if Leeds want to avoid any relegation talk, which they're only 3 ahead of Arsenal, and people are joking about relegation for them. Got to get those 3 points against Burnley, especially at home.
Last up for us, Chelsea and West Ham. Chelsea I struggle with a little bit. It's not as clear as the problems that are at Arsenal, and it's not as clear as the resurgence at United, right? And when you look at the two sides, they've been a little bit up and down. But you get the opener, unlikely from Thiago Silva. Timo Werner, again, wasteful. Just Pulisic set him up well, and he just
kind of
puts it
right at the keeper.
Straight into the keeper's arms. West Ham really looked good in that second half, but Tammy Abraham really ended any kind of hopes that they have with that 2-goal in that quick
succession. Yeah, it was. I think so. There's 2 perspectives you can look at Chelsea at. They've struggled against sides who they should be beating. This is they're 10th, so they've beaten a top half
Yeah.
team. So well done to them for that. And avoiding a third straight loss is a very big deal for them. And so the negative would be, well, yeah, you haven't really beaten anybody great yet, so there's still a lot of questions about your league. And on the flip side, Timo Werner is missing chances after chances after chances. He is woefully out of form. Kai Havertz is not playing like the wonder kid he is. You're not fit in a lot of different areas. Ben Chilwell went off injured. Reece James is out with a knee injury for a while. So,
but another clean sheet.
Another clean sheet. But these are all issues that you have, and yet you're still in a position to compete. So I think, again, we mentioned it. Can they rebuild in January? Can they strengthen in January?
I don't see they can spend. They spend so much money in the summer window.
Abramovich loves this club. He loves to spend for this club.
I don't know what they need though. I mean, they've got
more talent. Can never be a bad thing. Look, they play Arsenal away in their next match. I think this is a crucial one to see that Arsenal. Yes, they are playing very poorly, very very poorly. So stamp your authority on this. Go out there and dominate at the Emirates. I don't think it's going to be that bad because they were very good defensively against Man City until Ronderson just had a woeful.
Bad.
So you have Bernd Leno in net. They were very good defensively against Man City. Is Aubameyang going to be back from is he going to be healthy again? Who's to say? Some West Ham talk because we talked mostly about Chelsea. They looked okay in the game. Weren't really kind of in it in terms of deserving, but in the second half when it was 1-0, they were very close from just pulling back a result and getting it 1-1. If they were a bit more clinical. Both of us never understand why Saïd Benrahma does not start for that team because he's the most creative player. We love to watch him play, and yet he's on the bench. Fornals
is not the answer.
We don't know. We don't watch enough of West Ham to make a definitive statement compared to West Ham fans. But when we watch, we understand why he plays as opposed to Benrahma. Maybe both could play. Who's to say? But they have a lot of talent.
We're sitting here.
Exactly. They have a lot of talent. And I think this is not the worst result ever. If they were a bit more clinical, a bit more creative, they could have gotten the result back.
But I mean, are they going to be happy with the top half finish, like right around that mid-table? There was very little.
You were fighting for relegation 12 months ago.
Yeah.
Not 12 months
ago. Very little expectation. Season. So you sit 10th right now. Is that where they belong?
I think it's more or less where they belong. They create goals and they score goals like almost nobody else. Still a bit leaky at the back. There's a lot of positives for West Ham, I think. And I think that a top half finish would be a really good season because it's obviously Premier League security and very comfortable security, which obviously I hadn't getting relegated.
Well, Moyes is gonna do a good job with there. Like this is a great club for him. He's the perfect manager for them. In this point,
this is not the worst result ever. Yes, it's a London derby. Yes, you want to win these kinds of games, but sometimes it's football. You don't win games sometimes.
So Chelsea do sit 5th, 25 points, 6 off top. West Ham 10th on 21 points. So again, 4 points from 10th to 5th. Chelsea, as you mentioned, away at Arsenal Boxing Day. West Ham play on Sunday, home to Brighton. You think they're going to pick up those 3 and, again, move up into the top half, that 7-8 spot again.
Definitely want to, yeah.
I think both these clubs are headed in the right direction. I am fearful for Arsenal, and I am cautiously optimistic about what United are doing. I don't know what Chelsea are kind of in the middle, and then Spurs are just up and down. It's a strange top 6.
It is a very strange top 6. I think that I'm very excited for the Chelsea Arsenal game. I think we'll talk more about that in the preview video, but that will be a very good test of where both sides are at. Can Arsenal bring it around, and can Chelsea stamp their authority? Can they get some better attacking work from Havertz to be more of a creative threat? And Werner to bury his chances. I'm very excited to see where that match goes.
I got to think a little bit about Arsenal, whether they can. I don't know. I'm hopeful.
Arteta might not even be there. We don't know if he's
I don't think they're going to fire him. I think he's got the rest of the season, and they got to figure out what they're going to do in January.
That's fair.
We shall see. Jack, Conrad, this has been the 45. A little look back at Week 14, and a little bit look ahead at Week 15 as we enter into the festive fixture period where we have 40 matches in something like 20 days, 17 days, something ridiculous. Feast on football over the next month or so. Please do let us know what you think. Some comments, subscribe, look for us on the Twitter at the 45. Take care now. That was about